I got it.
Yeah.
It's just setting up to go on YouTube a second. Okay. Haha. Right.
Can't see you anymore. Oh, there you are.
Hang on. By staying in this meeting, you consent to be in live streamed. Anyone with access to the live stream can watch. I'm just going to check that.
Saying it's live.
Yeah. So if we are live, we will be good to go. Yes, I can see live up there.
Yeah, I can see live.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, and I can see it on YouTube also. Perfect. Well, Darren.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just get my my notes. Well, thank you for coming on and chatting with me tonight.
You're welcome.
Obviously, we are going to talk about the fundraising exercise, if that's a good word that you have just
been on. There was a little bit of exercise, yeah.
Yeah, for Public Child Protection Wales and their fundraiser. For those who don't know what we are fundraising for, obviously we started fundraising to take the Welsh Government to court to challenge them over the Curriculum and Assessment Act, which has removed parental rights and has implemented a global comprehensive sex education. So we're fundraising for that, and you decided to get involved. So you want to tell us a little bit of why you decided to get involved, why you wanted to help, why you thought this was a good thing to get to court and raise money for?
Obviously, Catherine's involved. We've been in this stuff for quite a while, and in all honesty, with regards, I mean, Grace isn't in school, so with regards what is actually happening and being implemented in schools, I was a little blind to, until obviously Catherine's the guilty one. She got more involved with yourself and Kim. Well, without beating around the bush, it's absolute filth, to be honest. There's no need for it. In my opinion, there is no need for it. So I've said for quite a while, there is no saviour coming. The people have got to do it themselves. They need waking up, and it's only us who can stop it. Now, all the organising and all the arranging and all the stuff that's going on with the group in the background, I haven't got anything to do with that, but I can walk well. It's, the trip to St. David's was something on my bucket list. So
yeah, tell us what made you decide and explain what the challenge is that you gave yourself, and why did you decide on that challenge?
Like I say, it's one of them things, you have 1,000,001 things going through your head throughout your life. I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, and most of them stay as thoughts, basically. With not much of them come into fruition for one reason or another. It's just a pipe dream. One of mine was this walk to St. David's. We've got the Pilgrims route runs over the mountain behind us. Not that I followed the Pilgrims route, I think I would have needed another week. But like I say, we've all got our own little thing which we can do. I'm not directly involved with the group. So once I heard there was a fundraiser, I came in from work the one day and I said to Catherine, look, if I nominate myself for it, I'm obligated. So I get the walk done for my own self-gratification. I can tick it off the bucket list. but on the same note, I'm doing what I do and raising money for a good cause. Yeah, and it appears that done all right for the money as well. In all fairness, it's more than I expected. I mean, sponsorship for me as a memory was going around when I was in school, and you ask your mum and your dad and your
Yes,
next
of course.
you end up with £3.75. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what, you know, the money which I did raise is, in my mind, is substantial anyway. I'm quite happy with that. It would always be nice to have more, but it would always be nice to have more of everything, I suppose.
And I'd like to say, anybody who is watching this and you think what Darren has done is great, when you hear his story, you can still donate. You can just say for Darren on the fundraiser. We'll put the fundraiser, it can still be donated. So tell us, what was your route? So what was your start point to your end point, and what way was you plan? What way did you plan to walk to get there?
Right. So I went from Pontymoyle, the basin. There's a short stretch of canal between actually where I am and the basin. It's only a couple of miles, 45 minutes. I purposely left that bit out. I did say it in the video, which I do it so often with the dog. From the basin up, I've done to Goitra Wharf on the bike, but I've never walked any further than the basin in Pontypool. So it was all virgin territory for me. I chose the canal all the way to Brecon. Number one, because it's awesome. It's so beautiful. Number two, because it's pretty flat. Other than a few locks here and there, it's flat. Otherwise, the water would run away. There was a third reason, but it's gone. So anyway, all the way up the canal to Brecon. He'll come to me in a minute. All the way up to Brecon on the canal. I chose the A40, which wasn't necessarily the shortest route, but whenever I'm driving to Brecon, Crickow, up that neck of the woods, the A40 is the scenery is outstanding. You're cutting through the Brecon Beacons, then into the Black Mountains.
And if you're gonna walk this kind of walk, and well, you want to do it surrounded by beauty.
It was absolutely lovely. I was a bit surprised when I got onto the A40 at Carmarthen. That was like a motorway. That was rough. It was like a motorway, and it was nothing like the bit further back then, which is more of a country lane where you've got your Sunday drivers out and your motorbikers and stuff like that. Twice I got on a B road. The first one was the A40 loops up and over when you get to Treecastle. It loops up and over, so I was saving a couple of miles, which may or may not have been a good thing, because the B road took me up over the top of the mountain. It was absolutely stunning, mind. The one thing, when I, as much as I go out walking, it's generally you've got a destination in mind, and I'm looking at everything along the way. In this case, there was so much stuff around me, but I just didn't have the time to stop and see it. But I've spotted lots of things which I'd like to go back and have a look at with a bit of time. So yeah, the road then was predominantly the A40. It's simple, it's difficult to get lost. When I was in the country lanes, there's always the chance you're going to slip off the wrong left or the wrong right. But generally speaking, they all link up somewhere. Like, it would just mean more mileage. So, it's unlikely I was going to get lost. And then the A40 all the way to Haverfordwest. And then from Haverfordwest, I think it's the A487 through Newgale, Solva, and to St. David's. It's like one road in and one road out. And in all fairness, part of the approach of me doing this, I had the flag and the high-vis vest.
Yeah.
was the fundraising and raising awareness.
Yeah.
Now, there were points, like I say, I had plenty of time to think, just trudging along the road. There were times where I questioned whether or not I had done the right thing going on the A40, because from St Clears to Haverfordwest, which was my worst day,
Yeah.
it's nothing, it's just road. I stopped in a petrol station early on, picked up some water, had a latte, and I didn't pass another shop or anything the whole way there for like 19, 20 miles. There was nothing. I was all on my own. But because it's the main road in and the main road out, even if you go the motorway way, you get back on by there, by Narberth. So you basically, you'd be motorway A497, and then it takes you onto the A40, I think, at Narberth. When I got into Haverfordwest, and most certainly in St David's, the amount of people who came up and spoke to me, wanted to know what I was doing because they had passed me on the road.
Because they had passed
and a few people were, you know, people travelling back and forth to work. They had passed.
And as you said, you had this, you had a high-vis vest on, which had a big, what they called QCR
QR code,
code on it, and you had a flag. And you're also carrying a big Bergen. Is it 30 kilos? Am I right saying it was 30 kilos?
I took some stuff out. I had if I remember rightly, I had the rucksack down to about 25. But then I had a pouch on the front with all my daily essentials and stuff in there, the stuff which I didn't want to have to take the rucksack off to access. I think that was about 2.5, 3. So I was short of 30 kilos. Bingo got picked up on the 3rd day, and I did ditch some weight out of there.
Well, we'll get back to Bingo in a moment, actually, because I absolutely have to make sure that he is mentioned in this. But you were saying about the response then that you got in Haverfordwest. And because as you're saying, that's probably a big long road. I know I certainly pass people sometimes walking a long road, and I think they've got miles to go. I know that I'm going miles, and you can't help but wonder. I know I certainly, maybe it's just my curious mind, but I do. If I ever pass somebody, even without, never mind if they had a flag and a high-vis vest on.
Where are they walking out?
You wonder, where are you going? So
it's a strange place to be walking because there's no footpath. You know, I was just following the solid white line up the road, basically. So there's no footpath, but lots. Some examples. When I got into St. David, I passed the St. David's sign, and that was a joyous occasion. A couple of 100 yards in, there's a big anchor next to the roundabout on the side of the road. So I thought, right, I'll have a sit by, so I don't trudge down into St. David's all sweaty and whatever, because the sweat was pouring out of me as well. So I sat in this anchor, took my shoes off, had a fag, whatever. And this camper van pulled into the side. Woman got out, come over. She said, look, I've only stopped. She said, I've passed you on her way back and forth to work. She said, I've passed you for the last 2 or 3 days. She said, I just want to know what you're doing. So I told her. She shook my hand. I was talking to her for about 10 or 15 minutes. Lovely woman. And then I noticed then, sewn into the seam on her side, a little police badge. And then I thought, all right, okay. And then she did have a name badge and keys and whatever, and she was actually a copper. And I was talking to her a good 10 or 15 minutes. Not all of this subject, you know, where we had a friendly matter in between and whatever else, and a chat about her van and stuff. There was a bloke. I was sat on Newgale Beach. I was literally sat on the pebbles, raining. It rained that night and then that day. Boy pulled up in his pickup and bought me over a cake and a Lucasade. Same thing. He'd been back and forth to work and he wondered what I was doing.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And like I say, St. David's, because I was loitering around. I got there early. I was planning to get there the next morning. I got there, so it was 14:14
Yeah.
when I videoed me passing the sign. So I was loitering around in St. David's basically, which was a good opportunity for people who would pass, and there was actually quite a lot of them. I phoned Catherine because people had given me sponsor money along the way, and I passed the sponsor money on. Oh, I went to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was later on again. I passed it. Yeah, I given it to
I think
Kim when I seen Kim. I
Kim
think
came down to visit at one point, didn't she?
Yeah, I'd phoned Catherine anyway in St. David's and said, oh, I got something like an extra 12, 13 quid, something like that. And I was only loitering around in town, like I say, and by the time I came home, I think it was close to another 30, 25, somewhere around there. Was
Yeah,
coming
you
up and
get
giving me
25,000 you
fivers.
gave me when I got back here, when you got back.
Yeah, so I think all in all, I actually collected more than 50 quid. Just from...
Well, we think at the moment, I think Lucia has counted up a total of £1,374.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Been raised.
Yeah, that's all right.
And I think most of that was would have been during that time of the walk. You're not on social media yourself.
No.
So Catherine isn't on social media.
Surprise.
So you're also, and I think this is important to point out, a lot of people sometimes do things on social media to fundraise. Not a lot of people, but there are people, and it's an ego boost as well. I'm not saying that they're not genuine, but it's also an ego boost. It's like, for some people, it makes them feel good because now it makes them feel popular.
Yeah.
You don't have no social media. You're not fishing for likes, fishing for comments, fishing for popularity. You don't have a daughter who's in school.
No.
Essentially, this doesn't affect you. And with the way that
yeah, I see. No,
it does personally. You've got
before, but my daughter has still got to go out and associate with the people who are receiving that education, and it's not normal for her.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
indirectly, it affects us all.
Yes,
it affects us all, and then it'll affect my grandkids if I get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing.
You could easily bury your head in the sand from it.
Yeah, the point is, it does affect all of us.
Yeah, and it's not directly coming into your home via your child learning it in school.
No, it's not. No.
You're not being presented with it every day because you're not looking on social media. So you could very easily bury your head in the sand. This doesn't affect. And we do find that there are people who it doesn't affect my immediate. And if it doesn't affect my immediate, then it doesn't.
I think that's an issue generally, though. The I'm all right, Jack.
Yeah.
Why we're in this shithole of a situation.
Yeah.
To be honest, just generally. I mean, this is just one topic, one subject where I could actually do something.
Yeah.
And, hopefully help to make an improvement. But I stand by that. It is us. We're the only ones who can stop this stuff.
Yeah.
And I incorporate all the different crap which is out there. So it's easy to sit there and that's wrong, and then turn over to your Coronation Street or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And as much as Catherine keeps telling me I'm not allowed to say, I just went for a walk. You know what I mean?
But I know you, and those of us who do know you we do know you're a very humble man.
But I just went for a walk. I mean,
just went for a walk.
They were challenges to myself, but we've got to challenge ourselves sometimes anyway. It's nice to know what
and that's something I'd like to talk with you about as well, is that kind of probably the mental challenge of doing this. But first, I just want to, otherwise I may forget, is obviously mention bingo. You didn't start this walk alone.
I didn't know.
And Bingo, your beloved Doberman. He started with you.
Yeah.
Tell us about those first, for the time of Bingo's journey with you, and how he got on and how that went.
He was good as gold. He loves being outdoors anyway.
And can I just say, I wish I had the photos all up ready and I would have done a bit of sharing, but
it's all right.
Bingo also had his own little camo and his jacket.
He was carrying his own food. I was carrying enough weight, so he was carrying his own food and his poo bags, and his little collapsible water bowl. I tell you what, that was a godsend. It was from Aldi's. It came on top of a little water bottle thing, which they said had a anti-leak seal. Lies. That just went straight in the bin. But the collapsible bowl was a godsend. But yeah, he loved it, and he was company. Like I say, you know, I don't mind my own company at all. Do you know what I mean? Some people just can't do with spending time alone. I like to get in there sometimes because I don't understand it, see? And if I don't understand my own, then I can't claim to understand anything else. So I spend a lot of time in there anyway. It's not an issue for me. But that amount of time yeah. He split the week up for me, basically. I didn't have 7 or 6 days on my own. It was only really sort of 3 and a bit.
Yeah.
He would have kept going as well. Do you know what I mean? He didn't want to go, but he couldn't. It was so hot. I chose this month expecting it to be nice and cool, like it was.
Especially before. After the whole summer we've had.
It was absolutely roasting. It was too hot for him. He's got a black fur coat on. You know what I mean? It was too warm. If we were up over the mountains, and he does come for long walks anyway, not necessarily this long, obviously. It's the first time I've ever done it.
Well, it was 140 miles in total.
There or thereabouts.
How many miles do you think Bingo completed?
Probably about 60 odd.
Yeah, fantastic.
The first day was definitely 25, close to 25 miles. The second day, I walked. The second day was probably 25 as well. I went a little, and that's the thing. See, although my goal to try and even the walking distance out, my goal was sort of Landilo, St Clair's, Haverfordwest. That was basically a minimum. And on the last 2 days, I pushed on in the sort of later on in the afternoon, early evening. I pushed on for like another hour and a half, 2 hours on some days, mainly to knock a few miles off the next day and give me a bit of a head start. But secondly, because he was trying to find somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
What I will say as well, though, I knew from St Clair's onwards would be a bit of a bugger because I took the tarps. A tent would have been easier. Next time I do something like this, I'll take the tent because I'm not got the restriction of having trees or something to tie the tarps to. The tent you can put down anyway. But in all honesty, the places I stayed on the last couple of nights, I wouldn't have got Bingo in there. They were over farmers' gates and through hedgerows and whatever else. Now I know he can do it. He does whenever I come in the house or if it's walk time or whatever, he's doing standing jumps and his face is level with mine, and he's like Larry the Lamb. He can easily get over them gates, he just won't. Right?
Yeah.
I can't take him. I have to plan a route. I have to make sure that there's opening gates if we're heading across the countryside. He won't jump over a stile. That's
a lot of planning and thinking to have to do to be able to figure out gates and.
Well, I mean, not down to the strictest details, but normally you know roughly where you can go. But yeah, it would have been. He would have liked to have stayed for the rest of it because he just likes being out and he likes being next to me as well. I would have liked him for the company because the first night I stayed out with him, without him, I shit a brick. But I don't think it was definitely, without a doubt, for multiple reasons, it was the best decision that he came home. It would have been cruel to keep him out. He couldn't do it anymore, love him. I think that's what I was going to say a couple of minutes ago. If we were, up the mountain, walking on nice soft grass and whatever, it would have been a different issue. But we were basically pounding concrete and tarmac for the whole time. The canals hard and gravelly and stony and whatever else.
Yeah.
So, he's done it in barefoot as well. So I think it's a combination of his feet being a bit sore. He was bound to have been aching a bit. And the heat really took it out of him, I think. So yeah, it was definitely the best decision. As hard as it was the best decision that he came home. I'll take him there in a car or something to show him something.
Yeah. And how was those last 3 days then? How did you find it after once he'd gone back, when he'd then left? And how did you find those 3 days being on your own? I think a lot. I have ADHD, so my brain doesn't ever turn off. And in one night, just up in bed, I can think every thought I've ever thought of in my entire life.
Yeah,
how did you find that?
No, I'm a thinker, but the what made it easier was I had to concentrate on what I was doing. Like I say, I was essentially sleeping rough. When bingo went, I ditched my cooking stuff as well, so I had to make sure I wasn't just walking somewhere because I had to get there. I had to get food and water now. Do you know what I mean?
You had stuff
I had to rely on these towns for the last, or once I reached my goal, as when I kept walking. So to know that you had finished, and then you have a break, have something to eat in town or whatever, and then put your shoes back on, go and do another hour and a half until the sun's starting to go down. Under normal circumstances, I think that would have been a much harder thing to do physically and then mentally to get over the physical side of it.
Yeah.
But I was preoccupied because I knew from that moment I was looking for somewhere where I could stay. So you're thinking where you can stay, right? How long have I got? And I haven't got a watch. Do you know what I mean? I would have had to have turned the phone on every time I needed to know the time, and I was restricted on batteries. So whenever I came to like a turn in, a road sign, I check on my map. So I knew roughly how, otherwise I had no idea of where I was. So you don't know how many miles you've done either. And because you don't know how many miles you've done, you don't know how many more you've got to go.
Yeah.
I said to Kim and I've said to a few people as well, funnily enough, the most helpful thing, it's never crossed my mind before, right? But trudging up the roads, especially when you've got like 20 miles left and you're already knackered. Do you know what I mean? You've got 20 miles left, boiling hot, pissing with sweat. You've only got a litre of water left in your bag, and you've got 20 miles. You don't know if you're going to come across a shop, trudging uphill. The people beeping as they go past. It was the most uplifting. I'm going to do it forever. I've said that to everybody. And every now and then, 4 or 5 people go past. You get 4 or 5 beeps in a row from the other side of the road. Loads of truckers do it. Truckers and van drivers are the most of it. Bikers, but it is.
I think even I can just relate on that. The first protest that I organised for the child abuse.
It is emotional.
And we walked from Newport down to through Newport, but we went along the road, and when the cars start beeping, it uplifts you. That little sound kind of goes, oh great, somebody agrees.
So, that's it. It's you're not mental on your own.
But I know
I found that really important.
Yeah, and I think for us in the cause, you you walking out, the people that would have seen you, the people with the flag, like, you reached people that we're unable to reach, that's not coming across us on social media. They would, and that person is going to talk to. There is no doubt that woman, that police woman that you spoke to, is going to tell somebody about meeting you. That she's been passing this guy for days walking, and now she stopped today and spoke to you, and you know, all these little interactions, they make a difference.
And something I noticed, it's a little bit disheartening, but it's not really a surprise. The older folk, they are the ones who are really disgusted. They don't have to say anything, you can tell. The older people, men and women, they are really disgusted with it. The younger ones, I mean, some of them obviously you can tell, but some of them, I don't know. You can't say that they don't care, but it's difficult to gauge if they really mean it.
No, I can relate to that as well, because again, when I started first speaking out, and it was, you know, about child abuse, I was out flyering, and again, it was the same. It was the older people
so it's not just me who noticed
thanking me for speaking out, and many wanted to then share their stories of what they experienced and how it was all just swept under the carpet and nobody talked about it. But I feel in a way that sex abuse now, it seems to be hidden to the younger generation. I feel like the younger ones pretend more that it doesn't exist. Do you know what I mean? It's like they all, and then in terms, especially in terms, obviously, in terms of just talking sexuality and stuff like that, many of the younger generation have already been groomed into this, that we need a label, and everybody's got to have a gender label, and everybody's got to have a sexuality label, and if we don't talk about it, that means you're homophobic or transphobic. It has to be what's on everybody's lips. You know, they believe that it has to be in school. And I think, I don't know if it was you, I was saying this to the other day, or somebody else, and I think this is where this label of asexual has massively been brought into things, because asexual means no sexual attraction. And this seems to be the gateway to as to why it's okay to talk about sexuality with children, because it's not all sexual. So I think they've already been groomed and part of that social contagion of this. So the younger crowd are difficult to, I think, engage in, because if you try to, many see it as an attack straight away on sexuality and gender, and that's an attack on them.
Well,
it's a tough crowd.
I got my own ideas up there, see, and they're not.
Well, I don't think this is a one answer, one reason.
No, labels and titles, they're just to separate. I see them, you know, not just this subject, but all subjects, labels and titles. You know, and to follow on from the likes of Jordan Peterson, a big issue is, it's great to say you're not allowed to say something if it's hateful and hurtful and whatever else, but to make you say something is an issue. You know, and I like Jordan Peterson from that point of view. Do you know what I mean? He's an academic, and I agree with that. I'm also of the point of view, and I'm aware that I differ from a lot of people. I imagine a world where it wouldn't really, it shouldn't matter
Yes.
what you look like, who you are, the color. It genuinely does make no difference to me. So it's insulting me to say that I have to classify you in a certain way, because it
Yes.
didn't matter until you
Yeah.
made me say it. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I know
Yeah.
most people don't live that way, but I do.
No, I can.
So
I
I'm
think
a
that
minority
completely.
now, and I'm being told that I must do something which actually wouldn't have ever cropped into my head.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No, I
It
can
doesn't matter.
completely understand that, and it is again with this, you know, part of this education, we're boxing and labeling children,
Yeah.
where we should be you know, with supposedly talking to them about diversity and individuality, but actually programming that they need to find their identity,
Yeah.
and that their identity has this label or this box. And I totally agree. I just think I couldn't give a hoot
No.
what you do, where you are, what you do in your
As long as it doesn't affect me, I'll
and so
try
long as
and
it
not
doesn't
let
harm
my life
children.
affect you, and just, you know, do the best for me, and we're fine.
Yeah.
I got no hatred for people because of
Yeah.
how they look or what they wear or what. Do you know what I mean? It's not an issue. They've made it an issue. Is the
Yeah.
issue. How many times can I say issue in a sentence?
But no, but that is the situation that we are facing, and that is the situation, and that is why, you know, you are you did that walk.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into that too much, because it's such a touchy subject, and
It is.
I want to keep to your walk as much as possible, without any serious backlash. But I just wanted to ask you, with that, in terms of your walk, what were your biggest challenges? What do you feel were your biggest challenges, whether that was physically, emotionally, mentally? What were the hardest things for you?
The biggest challenge, I mean, physically is the biggest challenge. Like I say, I like going for a walk, but then carrying all that weight, and it's the board. Like I say, you know, I couldn't do any sightseeing. I could see little bits here and there, whereas on a leisurely stroll, I can just take my time and get there and have a cup of coffee while I'm there and then head back. In this case, I had a schedule to keep to, so that ruled all that out of the minute, and I was just trudging as fast as I could. Basically, I didn't want to be on the road for all of those hours. It turned out that I was, but so yeah, physically with that weight on your back as well. Like say, if I was just doing the walk daily and staying in a nice bed and breakfast, it would have been a damn sight easier.
Yeah.
The weight on my back, and then obviously when you start to tire, that's when the mental side comes in then. And like I say, that the night bingo went on that night, and the next day that was my worst day. The St. Clair's,
because this was your first time away from Catherine
and
from
Grace.
your daughter Grace.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a challenge in itself. Like I say, I've never stayed away from them. As much as I didn't want to, Catherine did make me take a phone with me. So we were in contact, which was, you know, that was a bit of relief. And I did sort of, you know, I phoned her periodically. Unfortunately, because of the battery issues, the phone was off until I chose to phone Cat. But I did phone her, and then I'd phone her when I'd found a place and I was set up, and I phoned her when I was just about to go to sleep, and then I had to phone her in the morning to tell her that I was up and safe and whatever.
And can I just say as well, for Catherine, those who do know Catherine or anything like that, I think Catherine presents as an incredibly hard or strong-minded woman. And for us here, Catherine, without knowing where Darren was every moment of the day, was quite the worry. No, I don't worry, but you just seen that.
He does worry for me.
Yeah. I think
And like
worry
I
is
say,
probably
I haven't had a phone for, I don't know how long, 5 years. I haven't got a phone, I haven't got a watch, and I'll just head off with the dog up the mountains. And you forget to come home early sometimes, or I might get a bit lost or take a detour or go further than I expect. And she does tell me off quite often.
Yeah. I was in the garden with her and she was talking to you, and then she wasn't, then she couldn't get back in touch, and it was oh my gosh until
yeah, see, I'm all right. See, I know I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm all right. Yeah, I don't. That's it. I don't worry about things like that. I quite enjoy it. The camping bit on the way. It was my choice. Do you know what I mean? I suppose I could have got together a bit of money, and done a campsite or a cheap bed and breakfast along the way or something. That was part of the challenge for me. I'll sit and watch people's videos on YouTube, and it's easy to say, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
But we all do that as well.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do that, and most of us don't try. So
those 2 nights then that you've just.
It was the night and the day after. The first night without bingo. Yeah, that night I was quite scared that night, funnily enough. I did shit a brick. So anyway, it got late. I carried on walking for a couple of hours. Seen a little metal gate, farm gate, and it obviously hadn't been used for a while. So I hopped over down the road, bit of scrubland. It wasn't ideal, but it was starting to get dark. So there were no suitable trees for me to string my tarp up to, but there was a old cronky wooden fence, so I just tied it to that. I had it all set up nice and comfy, cup of tea on the go. Anyway, I was tied up to the fence along the railway line, and it was literally right behind me. So I had the A40 going up over the road in front of me, and then lorries keep going past all night, and then the railway line right behind me. So it was a
lot of noise.
Take all my tarp. The freight trains go on for about 20 minutes. And then the passenger trains, they just light everything up. So I had broken sleep. Anyway, the first time I fell asleep, I still don't know if I dreamt it or if it actually happened. But before I fell asleep, there was something in the bushes. Now it was pitch black. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I walked about an hour and a half from Landilo. There was something in the bushes. It wasn't a hedgehog or a rat or something. I described it as cat size. So it was something substantially big crunching around in them bushes. Well, I was nervy enough anyway. There was loads of other little noises. Some of them I worked out what they were. Some of them I didn't. But yeah, I fell asleep, and I can remember just jumping awake. Something tripped over my guy rope. And I still, to this day, don't know if I dreamt it or if something tripped over my... Now, I had no torches, no lights, nothing. But it's a distinctive noise. Anyone who slept in a tent, when someone trips over your guy rope, you can't mistake it for anything
I've been
else.
to a lot of
festivals. I don't know if it was a dream or not. I mean, dreams, you forget about them. Do you know what I mean? Usually instantly, you try and remember to tell, the next person you see, and you don't. I slept with my knife in my hand all night. That was quite scary that night, and it was the first night the bingo had gone as well. So, as much as he was,
and I probably imagine that's probably the first time in a long time that you've felt scared. It was probably a that kind of
probably it was quite, and like I say, it could be that I dreamt it, because obviously there was something in the bushes. I've been hearing all of these different noises. Like I say, some of them I worked out, some of them I don't. So it just could be that I spooked my, like watching a horror film before you go to bed. It could be one of those scenarios, or it could be that something tripped over my guy rope. I really don't know, but regardless, it was quite scary. So then, go on.
As I say, and what about the physical challenges? You
Yeah,
faced.
well,
I know
that
you had a couple of physical.
that following day then, so as much as I had slept well, it was broken sleep, and it's a bit late to go into sleep as well. That following day then, I was heading for Haverfordwest. So when Bingo had gone, I had ditched, because I had a little sleeping bag for him to keep him warm. I ditched my cooking stuff. There was a few bits and bobs which I took thinking that I was going to use, but never used. So they went, and I don't know, I probably got shot of about 4 or 5 kilos out of that bag, which that helped immensely. So anyway, that following day then, it was all laddie-daddy down the road, you know, I'll pass something, top up my water, grab something to eat, so on, so on. I got to the Pembrokeshire Road sign. As soon as I crossed that line, it was uphill. So I hadn't had anything. I had hardly any water on me, boiling hot. And the first hill was probably, I don't know, 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and it just ruined my legs. Got to the top, little tiny bit of downhill, and then back up again, and it done the whole thing then all the way to Haverford, and that is probably, as much as I say I only went for a walk, that's probably the hardest physical thing that I've ever done, because I had to keep going. That's the mental thing. I had to keep going. There's no stopping. There's nothing there. It's pointless to stop, because I wasn't going to gain anything other than losing time. Anyway, I got to the top of the final hill. I didn't know it was the final hill, and I didn't at the time realize it was like a mile downhill into Haverfordwest. I pretty much made it. Golf club up on the top, and I led down. I can remember lying down on the gravel and thinking the gravel was hurting my back, but I just didn't have the energy to move. The last thought I can remember going through my head was that my ankles were hanging off the curb, and I thought, if a car comes flying in here, and I was going to run over my ankles, but I still didn't move. And I don't know. I know I lost at least half hour, maybe 3/4. I don't know if I fell asleep or if I just passed out, because I hit the wall like, I don't know, an hour or 2 hours before, and I had no option other than to keep going. Like I said, I don't know if I passed out or fell asleep. Anyway, the car pulled in. That kind of woke me up. Woman came out, "You all right? You all right?" I was like, "Yeah." She said, "You need help?" I was like, "No, I'm all right." And then on her phone, obviously on speakerphone, I said, "Hello, which emergency services would you like?" She thought I died on the side of the road.
Oh my goodness.
And then that's the moment then I thought, right, I better get up and get myself going. And it was it was a good thing. I was literally about 1 mile away, and it was all downhill into Haverfordwest. I really was the last little tiny bit. And that was without a doubt the hardest day of my life, physically and mentally. Like I say, I wanted to, my body was telling me I needed to stop. I hadn't had any food. I was basically a little swig of water here or there, because all that, you know, I just had a little bit left. A lack of sleep essentially as well from the, I mean, even so, you know, every night, because I had no lights or anything, and I was, you know, there was every possibility that a farmer's going to come along and make me move in the middle of the night, and I got, you know, so that's what I needed to avoid. So as much as I was pretty secluded, it was highly unlikely I was going to get caught by anybody. I had to do everything that I could not to get caught, because I didn't want to be being moved on at midnight. Do you know what I mean? Because the farmers come home and caught me. So yeah, I was basically setting up as just with enough light left to get my stuff set up, whatever, and going to sleep pretty much when it got dark. I was packing my stuff away generally as the sun came up. So I was waking up probably about 5:30, 5:45, packing my stuff away while the kettle was on, so I didn't ditch my cups of coffee. So I had the kettle on.
Needed those to start the
Yeah,
day.
I would have failed on the first day if I didn't have a kettle when I woke up. Would have been no point in even trying.
Mm.
So I'd have the kettle on for a cuppa while I'm packing all my stuff away. And generally speaking, I've seen the sun rising every morning. I was often walking just as it got dark. Now, I kind of underestimated everything. So Google tells you we walk at an average of 3.1 miles per hour, and I know I walk faster than that. So for a 10 mile, they say 3 hours and 8 minutes. So I did a couple of timing sessions over short distances, and I did a 10 mile with a full pack on, and I done that in 2 hours 48. So I thought, right, if they're saying 8 hours and however many minutes to do a 25, I only want to be on the road for 6 hours.
Yeah.
In reality, because I'm stopping, just stopping for 5 minutes urinate, stopping to talk to people, stopping to check the map, stopping to go into a shop, stopping to have a cup of coffee. Do you know what I mean? All the little bits and bobs. It all adds up. And then obviously as time went on, I obviously wasn't walking as fast as what I would normally walk. So my pace was going down. So yeah, I'd be walking definitely by 6:30 every morning. And I was probably hunkering down and stopping walking at about 7:30 at night. So I was doing
It's a long
12, 13 hours. And don't
day
get me wrong,
walking.
once I had met my quota, so I'd done my sort of, 23, 24, 25
Yeah.
miles, I would stop the last few days because I had to get my evening meals somewhere because I ditched my cooking stuff. So I'd stop and I'd have something to eat and whatever else and give myself a good rest and then carry. So I might have been stopped for 2 hours, on a quick 5 minutes and then off. But the fact that I was on the road for 12, 13 hours, it's a long time just to see. That's a mental thing as well, because that road just, when I go for a walk up the mountain, you can't see where you've been. You're twisting through trees, and this is just, it's to say is that white line in front of you forever.
Well, it's kind of the same as motorway driving, isn't it? It's
It
just
is, yeah, and
endless.
that in itself
It's
is
endless
tiring.
and nothing different.
That's tiring in itself. It tires you mentally. So yeah, back to your question a while ago about the challenges. They were mental challenges, which unless I stop and think about them like that, I don't really realize that there were mental challenges involved other than nagging myself to keep going. But yeah, it's that day in particular, that was a good fight. That was a fight between mind and body. I had one in 1 year and one in the other year. My body was saying stop, and the mind was basically telling it to carry on. Definitely the most physical thing I've ever done. I've never been a sporty person, so it's
if you was doing that again, what would you do different? Would there be anything?
Take a tent.
Yeah, tent.
Definitely take a tent. I'd cut down on the weight a little bit, and I pretty much add it to a minimum. I might lose half a kilo out of there if I really stripped it down some more. But the weight's roughly, so try and minimize the weight as best I can. I definitely take a tent instead of the tarps. They were quite restrictive. And less mileage. It doesn't necessarily have to be a massive amount, but just cut down the mileage. You maybe add an extra day or for that distance. Do it with put an extra day or two on and just share the mileage out a bit. For me personally, that was the hardest thing physically, was the weight and then the mileage with that weight on.
Especially when you've set yourself a target for when you're going to get there. And did you feel like no, I can't break that target? That's when I've said I've got to get there, and it's like that day. It's gonna make you, but then also if you're in the middle of that area, you've got to keep going anyway. But it's gonna make you probably go further than when your body's saying to you, "I've had enough now."
I couldn't. If I had stopped, like I say, you know, that particular day where it was particularly bad, there was nothing to stop for it. I wouldn't have gained anything by stopping. You know, there was still no food, there was still no water, I was still knackered, I was still sweating my tits off, it was still hot, there was still no shade. I wouldn't have gained anything. But if I had, you know, I could have stopped and pitched up and had a sleep, and that would have helped somewhat. Do you know what I mean? Having a sleep. I was always prepared. And I did the first couple of days, we stayed by the river, so I kept the fresh water for drinking and tea and coffee and whatever else. I'll always use that out of the river and stuff, boil it up. But even if I had stopped, because like you say, I had a time limit to get there, which was pretty much unchangeable. There was a little bit of flexibility, but not really to add it on without disrupting everybody else's life. I would have had to do the extra the next day, and it was hard enough to without doing the extra the next day. So it basically I put myself in a situation where it had to be done, which is probably a good thing, because then there is no trying to convince myself it's a good idea to give up. Do you know what I mean? It has to be done in the same way that by doing it for Public Child Protection Wales, it had to be done. Once it was there, you know, it was all eyes on me. People had paid money for me to do it. It had to be done, regardless of.
It's a level of responsibility. Then you're feeling like,
regardless of how hard it was, that's tough titty. I gotta get it done. Do you know what I mean? And we got the 3 peaks next.
That's what I was just going to mention. That
I knew.
For punishment.
I was
You're joining us on the 3 peaks as well.
Yeah.
Which is going to be different again, because that's certainly not flat or long roaded. Although I know you said you had a bit of terrain yourself at times. This is going to be.
But I know mountains are rough and steep and sharp and.
Yeah, and I know for me, I've got barely any training in yet. But can I just say, I think we've got Gareth Powell, we've got my Gareth, you've got yourself, we've got Gearite, who is clearly very much into his mountaining. And I think between you lot, you'll carry us all over.
I don't know, I ain't carrying anything ever again. I'm not even going. No, Catherine will do the shopping, equal rights and all. I ain't carrying a shopping bag ever again. Nothing. But no, you know, it's different to what I did. Mountains are rough on your thighs, especially if you're trying to do them at pace. And like I say, you know, I'm not a sporty person. You know, cycling's been the only sport I've ever been good at. Lee was the sporty one. So I haven't got big, massive, muscly thighs to carry me up the hill. Do you know what I mean? So I like doing the mountains anyway. You'd probably have to shoot me or break my legs for me not to. I'm pretty confident that I'm going to complete them. I don't see it as a major issue, but it's by no means going to be easier for me than what it is for anybody else. It's completely different on the, you know, walking up a mountain. To what it is trudging down the road, to be honest. But no, I am looking forward to that one.
I am. There's 18 of us now. And just in case somebody ends up watching this, Holly is going to be coming in her car because she can't leave until Saturday night. She's got something on Saturday day, so she can't get in the minibus with us. And she's coming from Treherbert direction, but it does mean that she's now going to have 3 spaces also in her car. So if there is anybody else who wants to jump on board, but I think 18 of us walking up that mountain is going to be pretty, and we're going to have flags. We got banners, although the banner will just be for the top. I'm not walking up holding on to any banners. We will have flags, and we will have the high vis for our bags again. So really hoping that's gonna make,
it'll be nice in a group, and that's the thing, you know, everyone's going to be chatting amongst each other, and that's the one thing I was lacking
downhill. We'll
on
be
my
chatting
walk.
downhill.
Yeah, you just having somebody to chat on takes your mind off your legs or your lungs or whatever else is burning. It does. You know, it just you're otherwise preoccupied. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, everyone will do it. It's good in a group. It'll be good.
So yeah, anybody who wants to sponsor Darren for the 3 Peaks now,
I'd sponsor anyone else.
Everyone's up for that as well.
And if you want to join in and get your own sponsorship,
yeah, absolutely. And for people to know as well, because we're having a lot of interest in this, and I'd like that, a lot of people who don't feel that they could do the 3 Peaks, and we have said that, why don't you join us for one, whether it be Snowdon. Join us at Snowdon. Our foot is going to be on the bottom of that mountain for 5 o'clock.
Mental.
So you want to do Snowdon with us, you know, be at that car park. I think it's Pennapass car park for 4:30. We're going to be there for 4:30. So come and join us there, or at Cadir Idris or Penavan. And I know Sarah, Gareth's partner, is going to be bringing the boys. I think there's a few more people now who's coming with the kids to meet us at Penavan, and they're going to do Penavan with us, with the children. Yeah. And I think that will be incredible to have the children join us for the last mountain. I know Sarah has even got a sponsor form for her kids, and she's collecting sponsors for her children. So if anybody wants to bring their children and have their children sponsored, Penavan joining us as well. You know, there's loads of ways.
We'll have a good little shindig on the way up. It'll be nice. It'll
be fantastic.
And, you know, if you're into that sort of thing, I haven't been at Penavan. I just want to get that in. But I know the likes of Snowdon and stuff. The scenery is outstanding.
I haven't been at any of them, so I'm really looking forward to it.
See, when I go out and do these things, you know, whenever I'm talking to people, I might be knackered, physically smelly and sweaty, but I come home and I feel clean. Wherever I go, whether we go as the family for a couple of hours, or whether I go up the mountain on my own, or whether we do somebody, it's cleansing inside. It's the only way I can describe it. You know, physically, I'm sweaty and smelly and feel horrible, but you just feel clean inside. It's outstanding. I think it heals us.
No, I definitely agree. I've got like, for me, I just always thought I had an active mind. I think I do have an active mind, but the ADHD increases my active mind even more so. And the one time I feel quiet is actually when I'm walking, when I'm out walking, which is actually the time my daughter's her most chatty. She will chatty, and normally it's some sort of imaginative, you know, role she wants us to get into while we're out walking. But it's the first time for me that I can actually just happily walk in silence. Is probably the only time I can be silent is out in nature.
Look, it's mental peace for me. I'm always looking what's growing and, you know, what I can eat, and what's that by there and what's this by. Do you know? So my mind, all the shit that's going on in the world and all the shit that might be going on. I think
we all could do with reconnecting with nature a lot better.
I personally believe it's massively important for our health and our well-being. That's my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but it sorts me out.
No, I personally would agree with that as well. Again, some of the guys, I think, both Stephen, Gareth, the 2 Gareths have all been out walking. They all will do what they can barefoot while they're out walking as well. They like to, you know, get their feet on the ground and
bit of grounding.
We're disconnected, and that's also a big part of society problems, if in my humble opinion.
Well, I'm tending to agree with your humble opinion. We're disconnected from everything. Nothing matters.
Doesn't
matter.
We're very deep in an artificial world,
It's a
and that's
plastic world.
including, that's including the things around us, even down to the food we are eating. You
Yeah,
know,
that's plastic too,
it's
pretty much.
it's all
Um,
very disconnected to nature.
Without a doubt. Yeah, see, I told you I'd stray off subject. That,
Oh,
but
that's all right. I
just
can have a quick look. Because I can see, and I keep trying to have a look, but I don't want to see rude by looking, because there is
you carry on.
quite a bit of chit chat on YouTube, and I just wanted to. It's people saying well done.
Thanks.
Somebody saying it could have been a badger tripping over your guide
But
rope.
yeah, it might have been a badger, but I don't,
And you got be kind
usually you
there.
see the evidence of badgers. You know, you can see the mouth of the set and so on, so on. I had thought badger, and somebody else mentioned it might have been a badger. It could have been a fox. Don't know.
Well, we'll never know. Next time, let's get one of those little cameras
back.
that you can put outside. Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's get one of those little cameras, the night ones that'll turn on. You're gonna film what's been going on outside your tent as you've been sleeping.
I'd love to know if something did trip over the guy rope or not. I'd really like to know. It just seems too vivid to have been a dream.
Yeah. But again, people are just saying, well done to you on here. You got be kind, says fellow forager here. So I know that's something I want to get doing now with my daughter. Is because so many foraging books here is really getting to get back into nature. Well, Darren, I think, because I've kept you on here now for well over an hour.
No, that's all right. It's been a pleasure. It was 22:22.
22:22. There we are. It's been wonderful catching up with this. I think I have covered, I think we've covered your trip.
I think so.
And most of it.
And a little bit extra.
And a little bit extra. And it'll be good. I think it would be nice if now, I think just before the 3 Peaks, we'll try and get a Zoom together with all of us that are going.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think everybody introduce each other, and for us to, I think I'm going to do a little video to just get everybody to just send me a little clip saying who they are and put a little video out there. Again, I know you're not on social media, but Catherine can set you up your link on your fundraiser. But it's just, I've got a page, there's a 3 Peaks page on Facebook now. I'm just pushing this, trying to get as much attention as possible. So
it should be good.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It'd be nice to get some more people, and more people basically means more money for the cause. So,
absolutely.
Come on, you ain't doing anything else. You don't want to be chatting with us.
But anybody who wants to get involved with this, get in touch with me, and or if you not on Facebook, you can go onto our website, Public Child Protection Wales, and contact us through there.
Yeah.
So, well, Darren, thank you ever so much. And I've got masses of respect for you for doing that walk. You were the first person really to go, I'll do something. And to be honest, I think your walk then kind of is what spurred on the bigger ideas of, okay, then, well, what can I do? Why don't we do the 3 Peaks? So you kind of inspired those.
That's what we need. We need.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. We as normal, general, common folk need to come together. It's one thing sitting here and saying, yeah, very nice. Get involved, come together. It doesn't have to be the 3 Peaks. There's lots of people doing lots of other things. But
yeah, absolutely. And this isn't necessarily
it's support and the coming together and forming our own little.
And sometimes we're going to go out of our comfortable zone.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I think I think that's the biggest battle, is just coming out of your comfort zone. I know, again, on for this walk, there's people who's contacted us that's coming on this walk. They don't know anybody. I don't think they realised we had so many people who actually don't know. You know, there is a few of us that have met now a few times because of this.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate that we've had people support, and they've supported throughout. They come to events regularly, and they dig in and they act. And so there is a small group of us
Yeah.
that
And it's
are
getting
familiar
bigger.
with each other now.
Yeah.
And there's some of us that we recognize each other's names via social media, not for yourself, but they haven't met each other. And I think it's fabulous that so many are just coming together for this one. And they're all everybody's from different walks
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah.
And it's something beautiful, and it's time that we all come together for the children now, because
we need to.
If we let this get into our education system and we're in trouble. Our children are going to be part of a dystopian future, which is that of children being sexual beings, of children just, I don't want to say it, I don't believe you are changing your sex by mutilating, removing the breasts of a teenager is changing their sex. You're trying to make their gender dysphoria, feel better. I just see a dystopian future where paedophilia is going to be accepted, where child abuse is accepted, but it just won't be seen as abuse or paedophilia.
See, there's no. So Grace is 11. She doesn't know what it means. She doesn't know what sex means. Yeah, she's still got her innocence, look. And I think all the kids should have their innocence. If they don't know, they're not going to. I mean, there's obviously the safeguarding bit from a genuine safeguarding point of view. And the birds and the bees and stuff like that. It's the detail and the explicitness. Is that a real word, explicitness?
It is now, anyway.
I keep making up new words. I'm good at it. If it's not, put in the dictionary next year. But yeah, there's no, you're educating them on it. And I think I heard Kim used a couple of good analogies the other day when they met us in St. Clair's. You don't push a kid in front of a car to teach them to not get run over.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. That's the way, that's the point I'm trying to put across.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If their innocence is kept, they're never going to get into a situation where some of the stuff which is being taught is even an issue. Let them have their innocence, look.
Yeah.
Let's when you get older, life's an absolute
let's give the parents the tools and the knowledge and the education.
Just let them be kids. That's it. You know what it's like. You leave school and everything's going to be and life's a bitch when you leave school.
It can be difficult.
It can be difficult, but the real world. Just let them have
childhood. It can be difficult. Childhood is a time of discovery, and learning, and identity, and who is who. What does this mean?
I agree. But it's a natural course. It's a natural course that we all flow through.
Teenagers making friends, keeping friends.
I am of the belief that to quite a degree we're a product of our environment. I think that's probably true scientifically as well. But we're still
influenced by our environments, by all factors.
Of course, we
massively.
If we weren't, we wouldn't fit in our environment is the issue. But so much of it we find out ourselves, and that bit's being taken away. the bit that you find out yourself, the exploration bit, the fun bit, that's the bit that's being taken away and replaced with filth, basically. And it's not on.
It's not on
It's
at all,
not
and
on.
that is what we are fighting.
It is. Yeah,
Wow.
definitely.
We won't go. We won't. We'll try not to keep on because it's a subject that can just go on and on
It
and
is a
on.
subject that can go on
And
on forever.
there'll be many more. So I'm going to thank you again. I'm going
Thank
to
you
try
very
and
much.
train off onto something again.
It's been a pleasure.
And I will catch up with you very soon. So just thank you again, Darren. And I thank you for kickstarting it all as well. Thank you for getting everybody talking. And yeah, I will see. Well, I'll see you before probably, but 2 weeks at the bottom of Snowdon, and we'll be starting the next trek of this.
Awesome. I shall see
Brilliant.
you soon. I'm sorry if I waffled on too much.
Oh no, you didn't at all.
I tend to
Not
do
at
it
all.
sometimes.
No, I've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who
Night,
donated.
yes.
And thanks to the members of my support team who came and helped and took bingo back and so on and so forth. Made a massive help. And again, thanks to all the people who were involved and giving money. So see you all soon.
Brilliant. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Delta.
Good night, Bye.
Bye.
Bye.